Hey there, fantasy owners. Welcome to LTC Fantasy here. Not sure if you're chiming in, watching via YouTube or listening via podcast, but really do appreciate you tuning in no matter how you're streaming the episode. Do want to thank our current subscribers and new subscribers. Really do enjoy the support. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so, as we have 3 different episodes every week looking at different players to help strengthen your fantasy roster, as well as on YouTube we release shorts daily looking at the next day's games, just kind of a quick hit at some different players to look at if you're in a pinch to hopefully get you that edge in your fantasy league there. Today's our waiver wire episode for week 3, so we'll be looking at different players, goaltenders, defensemen, forwards who have low ownership, who have either been on a hot streak or going to gain some opportunity due to injuries, etc. So basically we'll get right into it. Some goalies to take a look at. First one is Alex Nedeljkovic from Detroit there. He's only 42% owned. So far in 2 games played, he's 1-1 with a 2.96 goals against average and 912 save percentage. Should mention, as I'm taping this, he did get lit up for 4 so far through the game. Already faced 34 shots, so he's facing a lot of pucks. But other than that, in Detroit, it really is a true tandem. They seem to be alternating starts. Should get a start a week, so he'd be a decent third option for you if you do have an injury. That way he's going to at least get 1 to 2 games in every week for you, so might be able to help you out fantasy-wise. Next one's Jake Allen in Montreal. He's 40% owned. So far this year, he has 2 wins in his 4 starts, a 2.77 goals against average and 913 save percentage. Pretty respectable numbers there. I know it was pretty unlucky to be a Montreal goalie last year, but he's playing a lot better, and expect him to get a ton of starts, as nobody's really going to challenge him for starts there in Montreal. Next one is Mackenzie Blackwood in New Jersey. He's 10% owned, 10% owned. I did, when I first started this, he's up to 32% owned, I should say. He's won 3 of 4 starts so far. Has a 2.46 goals against average and 893 save percentage. He did have a rough outing his last one, but he was really good in the previous 3 starts there, so he is kind of taken over the crease there. With his last start, it might kind of bounce back where Vanessa gets to run with it a little bit. We'll see what happens, but Vanessa's a lot higher ownership. Blackwood should be available, and even if it turns into a tandem, it'll be similar to Nedeljkovic, where you get 1-2 starts a week, so something of a third goalie option for you. And the last one's Eric Comrie in Buffalo. He's 16% owned. So far he's won 2 of 3 starts with a 3.01 goals against average and 930 save percentage. So he's facing a ton of shots and saving a lot of them. So he's starting more than Anderson. He's kind of taken over that crease. He's signed this year and next year. So look for him to kind of take the reins from the older Anderson, and could be a nice third goalie option, maybe in a deep league, a second goalie option for you. So we'll move along to some defensemen there. First one's Kalen Addison from Minnesota. He's 27% owned, playing third pairing top power play unit, and so far 6 assists in 5 games played, 4 of those points being on the power play. He is an ugly -8, but with a rookie you're going to generally have an uglier plus-minus rating. Not counted in every league. If it's not, bonus for you. But you can't deny his offensive talent, so that's definitely somebody that could be a depth defenseman for you. Next one, Shane Gostisbehere. He's owned in 58% of Yahoo leagues. The third pairing top power play unit. He has 5 points in 5 games played. Should mention he already has 2 goals tonight, so add to that total. But 19 shots on goal and 10 blocks. He has nice all-around cats. Other than plus-minus, it's going to hurt you in the desert. But again, that's not counted in every league. And with the offense he's putting up, you can kind of hurt a little bit on plus-minus on what you're going to gain in other categories. Or if it's a straight points league, good on you. Next one is Neil Pionk in Winnipeg. He's 58% owned, playing on the top pairing second power play unit. and he has 5 points in his last 4 games with 13 shots on goal, 15 hits, and 4 blocks. He's really been on a mission the last week and a half here. I know we're only 3 weeks in, but he's really been good the last 4 games. And he's contributing in all categories there, so it'd be a nice pickup for you. Next one's Matt Roy from LA. He's only owned in 16% of Yahoo leagues. Plays on the second pairing there. So far, he's put up 3 points in 6 games played, 15 shots on goal, and 15 blocks. He doesn't get any power play time, but his offense obviously is up a little bit. 3 points in 6 games, not going to wow you by any means. But he does get a decent amount of shots on goal and blocks, so that adds some value. And if it's in a deep league where you're starting to scrape the barrel to get some depth there, might be an option for you. Next one's Oli Mata from Detroit there, owned in 4% of Yahoo leagues, playing on the second pairing, and he's quietly put together a good season so far. 5 points in 5 games played, plus 4 and 10 blocks. Obviously, his offense isn't sustainable. He's not going to be a point-per-game defenseman there. But he could be a really nice depth option for you if he continues to get those other secondary cats, nice numbers in those. He's obviously getting more opportunity in Detroit, and that's paying off for him so far. Next one's J.J. Moser in Arizona there. 3% owned. Plays on the top line, top power play unit. So far, he has 4 points in 5 games played, so nice production. 3 of those points are already on the power play, and 8 blocks there. He's playing a ton in Arizona while Chychrun's out. Good production so far, so might be a really nice depth option in a deep league. Might be kind of a risky play in a standard league, so to speak. And again, as I should mention, plus minus will hurt a bit playing in Arizona, but kind of a theme here. Next one is Matt Grzelcyk in Boston. Only owned in 4% of Yahoo leagues. Playing on the top pairing, second power play unit. Started the season in IR. He's off now. He has 2 points in his 2 games played so far, so nice point per game. He's plus 2, 7 shots on goal, and 4 blocks. He's, as I mentioned, playing well since coming off IR. He will continue to see an expanded role for the foreseeable future until McAvoy comes back. Then you might be able to cut him, but he'll be good for at least 1 to 2 months until McAvoy returns there. Next one's Brandon Montour in Florida there. Only owned in 22% of Yahoo leagues. Playing on the top pairing and top power play unit. He has 3 points in 4 games played. He's a plus 2, 7 shots on goal, 6 hits, and 8 blocks. Really, with the expanded ice time, especially with Ekblad out for a while there, he's really gone with it there. He's getting some nice production. He's getting some hits, some blocks. He's on the plus side of plus minus, getting some shots on goal there. So he's really been a nice, well-rounded defenseman. And with the expanded role with Ekblad out, could be a nice depth option for you. Next one's Jacob Middleton in Minnesota, only owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues. Plays on the second pairing there. So far, he's put up 3 points in 5 games played, 8 shots on goal, 5 hits, 10 blocks. Offensively, it's a bit of a surprise, averaging over a half point per game there. But it's the secondary cats where he does add some value there. So if you do need a little boost in those categories, definitely an option for you. The offense, it's going to fade a bit, obviously. But, well, shouldn't say obviously. Nothing's ever obvious. But anyways, it should fade a little bit for you, but he'll still contribute otherwise. So in a deeper league, definitely might be a good option for you, and if he gets any offense, it's just an added bonus there. Next one's Justin Schultz in Seattle there, 15% owned, playing on the second pairing and second power play unit. He has 3 points in 7 games played, so under half point per game, but still has 14 shots on goal and 7 blocks. Obviously, his offense has cooled off a bit. He started out really hot the first few games there. But he is getting shots on goal and some blocks. So in a deep league, he might be a depth option for you. Otherwise, keep him on a streamer when Seattle plays on light nights there. Next one is Hampus Lindholm from Boston, owned in 63% of Yahoo leagues. Playing on the top line, top power play unit. He has 4 points in 6 games played. Also does have a point tonight already. Is a +5, 9 hits, and 8 blocks. He contributes pretty much in every category there. And with McAvoy out, he will be the alpha male on that blue line and playing in all situations there. So it could be a really nice pickup for you. And the last D-man is Josh Morrissey from Winnipeg, owned in 55% of Yahoo leagues, plays top line, top power play unit. He has 4 points in his last 4 games played, with 8 shots on goal, 3 hits, and 10 blocks. He chips in almost all categories there. Pionk's been playing a little bit better of late, but Morrissey generally kind of pans out to be the better defenseman overall. Might be Pionk's year, can't say that, but he is owned a little bit less than Pionk, so right now Pionk's probably the favorite to be picked up, but a nice fallback option might be Morrissey there. So we'll move along to some forwards now. First one is Gabriel Velarde from LA there. He's owned in 44% of Yahoo leagues, plays left wing, right wing, on the third line, and is on the top power play unit. He had 7 points in his first 5 games played, no points in his last 2 games played, but he does have 15 shots on goal. Obviously has a nice shot on goal total, has nice production, especially for being on the third line. That's paid off where he's been bumped up to the top power play unit. So I wouldn't necessarily say in a standard league he's an option for me because he does get third line minutes, but in a deep league where you're drafting quite a few players, might be a decent option for you. Next one's Martin Nikas in Carolina there. Listed as a right winger, owned in 39% of Yahoo leagues. Playing on the second line, top power play unit. He's been really hot to start. 8 points in 6 games with 15 shots on goal. As I mentioned, he's been off to a really hot start. Other than offense, though, he does chip in a few face-off wins, because if somebody gets waved out, he tends to take the draw, but hits and blocks are obsolete with him, so he's a pure offensive play for you. Next one's Alex Tuck in Buffalo, owned in 64% of Yahoo leagues, listed as a right winger, plays on the top line, top power play unit. He's been really hot to start. 7 points in 5 games played, +6, 15 shots on goal. He's really come out flying out of the gate. Get him if he is available. He'll be one of the top pickups, so if you can get him, do obviously take him there. Just remember last year he started out really hot when he came back from injury and then he cooled off towards the end, but if he's hot, ride him, man. Next one is Travis Konechny in Philly there, listed as a right winger, up to 52% owned, playing top line, top power play unit, and he has 6 points in 6 games played there, so nice point per game production there, and has 20 shots on goal. He really is playing exceptional to start. Only a 2-game week for him this week, so you might be able to sneak on him because not a lot of people will be claiming him this week. So might be able to set him up if you have the depth to kind of keep him on your bench this week and next week. Not sure if he plays 3 or 4 games, but should be a heavier week for him where he contributes a little bit more to your roster. Next one's Mason Marchment from Dallas, owned in 59% of Yahoo leagues, listed as left winger, right winger. Playing on the second line and second power play unit. It's been pointless the last 2 games, but he had 6 points in his previous 4 games to start the season and has 11 hits on the year. He is getting top 6 minutes. He wasn't getting that in Florida. He was buried, well, shouldn't say buried. He was on the third line in Florida. It was a really good third line in Florida last year, but he is obviously getting more minutes, more opportunity, and that's paying off for him. Next one is Kevin Hayes in Philly, listed as a center, owned in 11% of Yahoo leagues, playing top line, top power play unit. He's been really hot to start. 8 points in 6 games with 13 shots on goal. He does only have 1 hit and doesn't have a block yet this year, so it is a pure offensive play for you. But if it's a scoring league or if you can kind of weather the storm in the other categories, he really is a nice offensive player, at least early in the season here. Next one is Nico Heishire from New Jersey there, listed as a center, owned in 35% of Yahoo leagues, plays top line, top power play. He has 6 points in his last 3 games played, plus 5 in those 3 games, 11 shots on goal. He's won 37 face-offs, if those are counted in your league, and 4 hits. He's been crazy good basically across the board there, and only 35% owned. So if you can get him, I would take him because he's obviously contributing everywhere. He's had a very strong season last year, and he's really building off of it, at least to start the year this year. Next one I did have was James Van Riemsdyk. Kind of ignore it. He's out long term, so we'll basically not even go over it and jump to the next one here, which is Anders Lee from the Islanders. He's listed as a left winger, 30% owned, plays top line, top power play unit. He has 7 points in 6 games played this year with 17 shots on goal, and he's thrown 11 hits, so throwing the body a little bit more. He's really been having a really good season to start, obviously. He finished strong last year, and the Islanders are scoring more, so you don't need to be quite as hesitant to take him, at least early on here. Next one is Jake DeBrusk in Boston there, owned in 42% of Yahoo leagues, listed as left winger, right winger, playing on the second line, getting top unit power play time there. He has 5 points in his last 4 games, is a +4, and has 22 shots on goal. He is on a hot streak, and we'll use the word streak there because he is kind of streaky. He's really hot, really cold, but over the course of a season, you should like him, should have a little bit higher ownership there. He is a pure offensive play there, though, I should mention, as he only has 2 hits and 1 block so far this year. Next one's Dominic Kubalik in Detroit there. Only owned in 15% of Yahoo leagues. Actually, should say when I first looked it up, it was 15%. It's jumped up to 41% already, so owners are taking notice of his production. So if he is still available, might want to take him. Listed as left winger, right winger. Playing on the top line, top power play unit. He already has an assist tonight. Not sure how he finishes up the game, but he's starting out really hot. 8 points in 5 games played. 9 in 5 2/3 so far there. 4 power play points. 14 shots on goal and 6 hits. He's been on a mission to start. He's really bounced back after Chicago basically let him walk there. And he's getting opportunity on that top line with Larkin, and it seems to be paying off and should be a good value pick for you. Next one is David Krejci in Boston, listed as a center, owned in 26% of Yahoo leagues, playing top line, top power play unit. He has 7 points in 6 games played with 10 shots on goal and 5 blocks. He really hasn't missed a beat since spending last year over in Europe. The old boys are back. Well, as soon as McAvoy and Marchand get back, of course, but he's playing well in Boston and shouldn't be afraid to snag him in a deeper league or as a depth center for you. Next one's Andre Burakovsky in Seattle, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 52% of Yahoo leagues, playing second line and top power play there. He has 6 points in 7 games played with 20 shots on goal. He does have only 4 hits and no blocks this year, so it is more of an offensive play. Chips in a little bit with hits there. But he seems to be fitting in well in Seattle and might be worth the risk as some depth moves on your roster. Obviously, plus minus probably going to hurt you there, but hence the little bit lower ownership there. Next one's Nino Niederreiter in Nashville there, listed as a left winger, owned in 45% of Yahoo leagues, playing second line, second power play unit. He had 4 goals in his first 4 games played. He only has 1 assist in the last 3. So 5 points in 7 games played there. Pretty good production. 15 shots on goal. Decent amount of shots. 17 hits. So throws the body around. So contributing a little bit fantasy-wise if hits are counted, even if he's not on the score sheet. He does obviously shoot a lot. Throws a bunch of hits. Offense looks to be a little bit streaky so far to start the season. So take it what you will. If you have room for a depth move there, might be worth it. If not, you might want to leave him alone till he shows a little bit more consistency there. Next one is Nick Ritchie in Arizona there, listed as a left winger, 4% owned, Plays on the third line and top power play unit. He does already have an assist tonight so far, so we can add that to the totals. He has 4 points in 6 games played, 5 and 7 or 6 and 2/3 so far. He does have 2 2-point games this year, and then goose eggs in the other 4 previous. 4 power play points, so all of his points are on the power play. 10 shots on goal, 10 hits. His secondary stats is where he brings value there. If he does get points, seems to be in bunches so far to start the season with the multiple point games there. So a little bit of a risk-reward play. Might be more of a streamer than a waiver wire pickup. Depending how deep your league is there, you might want to bury him on the bench and then play him periodically there. Next one's Matt Barzal from the Islanders there. Listed as a center, owned in 61% of Yahoo leagues. Plays on the second line there and top power play unit. He has 6 assists in 6 games played, so hasn't scored a goal yet this year. 3 power play points, 16 shots on goal, only 1 hit and 2 blocks. He really is the best offensive player that the Islanders do have, most creative anyways. 0 goals, but shooting a fair bit, so goals will start to trickle in for him there. He is, like I mentioned, his hits and blocks are pretty much non-existent, so it is a pure offensive play. So depending on the formatting in your league, might be worth the pickup there. Next one's Jeff Carter in, almost said LA. It's been years since he's been in LA. Pittsburgh there, listed as a center, 8% owned. Playing on the third line, second power play unit. He has 5 points in 6 games played there, 2 power play points, has 13 shots on goal, 7 hits, 6 blocks. So he really is a nice depth piece if you can make it work on your roster, depending what's available and how deep your league is. As he does contribute in a few different ways there with his hits and blocks, shots on goal, get some power play time there. Does play third line, so doesn't get as much opportunity, but is still contributing. Next one's TJ Oshie from Washington there, listed as center right winger, only owned in 41% of Yahoo leagues, playing on the second line, top power play unit. So far he has 5 points in his last 6 games played, 2 of those points being on the power play, 11 shots on goal, 18 hits, 3 blocks. You get a little bit of everything with Oshie there. He does throw the body around a bit, shots on goal, nice production, a little bit of power play points there. He is fantasy relevant as long as he does stay healthy. That's always been the knock on Oshie, is that he always tends to miss a fair amount of time there. So early on, he's healthy, might be worth the risk. Knock on wood, might be a healthy season for him. Next one's Ryan Johansson in Nashville, listed as a center, only owned in 30% of Yahoo leagues, plays on the second line, top power play unit. So far he has 4 points in his last 6 games played, and in those 6 games he's thrown 9 hits, so he's adding a little bit of extra value if hits are counted in your league. He also does win a fair amount of face-offs. If face-off wins are counted in your league, that adds a little extra value. And the last few seasons, he's had some decent offensive production, so we'll throw him out there as a potential fit for your, depending how your league is formatted there. Next one's Jason Zucker in Pittsburgh, listed as a left winger, only owned in 6% of Yahoo leagues, playing on that second line and second power play unit. So far, 6 points in 6 games played, 2 power play points, 13 shots on goal, and 18 hits. He's healthy to start. He has been unhealthy the last few seasons there. And he's playing with Malkin on that second line, so he is getting top 6 minutes, not a third line role there. And he seems to really find some chemistry with Malkin, so as long as he stays on that second line, he's definitely worth a look at anyways. Next one's Chandler Stevenson from Vegas there, listed as center right winger, owned in 37% of Yahoo leagues, centering that second line and top power play unit. Nice start, 6 points in 7 games played there, 12 shots on goal, 7 hits, 4 blocks. He's been pretty consistent with offense. This is dating back last year, had a really good season last year, building on it this year. Blocks and hits, 4 of the 7 hits were in one game there, so I should mention that. Maybe it was a nice judge on the hit department that night, who knows, but has been fairly fantasy relevant for, well, dating back to last season there. Next one's Brock Nelson from the Islanders, listed as a center, owned in 37% of Yahoo leagues, plays top line, top power play unit. He has 6 assists in 6 games played there, 2 of those points being on the power play and 14 shots on goal. He has okay secondary stats, not going to wow you, but not going to hurt you otherwise. He is averaging a point per game without scoring a goal yet this year. He did have 37 goals last year, so goals should come for him. It's just a matter of when. And then he should be really good for you going forward. Last one's Yegor Chinikov, not quite sure how to pronounce it, from Columbus. Listed as left winger, right winger. 2% owned, playing on the third line, second power play unit. He has 5 points in his last 4 games there, with 5 shots on goal, 3 hits, 2 blocks. Really good production considering he's only averaging around 12 minutes of ice time. And if he keeps producing at this rate, he's going to force his way into some more ice time there. In a deep league, he might be a really sneaky pickup. In a standard league where you're drafting quite a few less players than in a deep league, it might be more of a streaming option for you, but do keep an eye on him because he's kind of getting overlooked at only 2% ownership there. That pretty much sums it up for this episode. We'll be out in a bit with our weekend ads episode. If you did enjoy today's episode, please hit like, hit subscribe. Remember that notification bell if you're watching via YouTube. If you're listening via podcast, hit subscribe, hit that heart, hit follow, depending what platform you're watching it on. And good luck in week 3 there, fantasy owners, and we'll talk to you soon.